What up, everyone? So, I said I wouldn't be doing any individual reviews over video. I would do it mostly over social media, unless it was some sort of special occasion, and this is one of those occasions. So I have good information here. This is going to be about the Nickelodeon Mystery Minis. We're going to be doing a review. I have the box layout. If anyone's looking for individual figures, We'll take a look at that and see where they're placed. And we'll also talk about just some other interesting facts that's good to know if you're purchasing it. So we'll get to that too. So, first off, I really like this series. I was excited when I saw it. Much like the Hanna-Barbera series, I really like the style of them. In most Mystery Minis, I really don't like. A lot of them, like the pop figures, same beef that everyone has with them is that they just all look the same. They all look very generic, and a lot of the Mystery Minis do as well. A lot of the Disney ones that they do, all the characters look the exact same shape. They just have like a different sticker on their face. So I liked it when I saw these ones and the Hanna-Barbera ones because they're all different shape. They're all individually designed. They're all individually sculpted. That's what I really like. I really like that they have variety in between each figure, and I was really excited for it. And I grew up in the 90s, so I'm all about these characters, so I was very excited for them. So the problem I talked about in a previous video is that they have 3 sets of exclusives along with the base set. So they have Toys R Us exclusives, Hot Topic, and Gamestop, along with an original base set that's going to go to all the other stores. So making this series a lot harder to collect. The good news about it is that we all assumed that they were going to all be common figures because each set is based around 12. Now the interesting fact about this, if anyone's looked at the boxes, that's not what it says on the side. They actually have statistics on the side for different rarities. They have 1 of 6, 1 of 12, 1 of 24, 1 of 36, and 1 of 72. The interesting thing about that is those statistics are actually not true. So they were just released today in GameStop, and I got a case of them, and I was going to wait until I got my case from Hot Topic as well, but I know this information is really important for anyone that's going to purchase them. The reason why this is important is because I've looked online and I've seen people charging different prices depending on which figure it is because they believe those statistics. But I have proof here that shows that they are actually all common. I've seen the base set, they are all common. I just got a box of the GameStop and they were all common, so I'm not sure why they did that. I'm sure they had a plan to do them different statistics and then maybe change their mind at the last minute and didn't want to make new boxes. So either way, I hope it's the same. I haven't seen them at Hot Topic yet, and none have surfaced at Toys R Us. I don't know if they're ever going to, because like I said, they're going out of business. I don't know if they'll ever stock these, so I'm not sure where they'll go. But I hope it's the same there too. I would assume so, and because if they're not, these would be extremely hard to collect. If anyone's trying to collect the Hanna-Barbera series, you know it's very hard because all the exclusives were the rare ones. They're 1 of 24, 1 of 36, and 1 of 72, which makes it extremely hard to get. And if the statistics were true on this, it would make the same case for these. These would be very hard to get. But so far, so good. So, if anyone's like me and is actually trying to collect these series, I'll tell you exactly what to do that. The first thing you're going to want to do is go buy 3 figures online. You're going to want to buy the exclusive, non-exclusive figures. And what I mean by that is that the base series has 3 figures in it that you can only get in the base series. So if you went to Toys R Us, Hot Topic, or GameStop, you could not get those 3 figures. They're not exclusive to anywhere, but they're exclusive to the base set, and you can only get them in the generic base set. And those figures are Rocco, and the dad from Wild Thornberrys, and Oblina. So that's what I did first, is I went online and purchased those 3 separately, unless you have a box layout and you can go get them in a regular store. The reason I did that is because the prices of those 3 figures is going to go up. As soon as the rest of these exclusives come out and people realize that you can only get those 3 from the base set, they're actually going to raise the price on those. Price is going to go up. I've seen it happen every time. It's not going to go up by a ton, and they probably won't be as expensive as the actual exclusives out there, but they will go up in price, and they will be more expensive than the regular ones. So it's good to get on that early before the rest of the exclusives come out while they're still at a low price. So that's what I did. I found 3 online at a very cheap price. I bought them each for like $6 a piece from someone selling them on eBay, which is about what you pay in the store anyway, so it was no big deal. But if you have a box layout for the base set and you want to go get them that way, that works too. Just make sure you go get those 3 first, and then you're going to want to buy a full case from one of the exclusive stores, and then I have a layout here, and those and other layouts will help you from there on out if you're trying to get the whole set. So, the reason I bring up the statistics is because, like I said, a lot of people are selling them online at different prices because it shows on the box that both the Angry Beavers are 1 of 72, and it shows that Ren and Stimpy and the Rugrats are 1 of 6. So some people were listing them at different prices because of that, but there's no need for that. So make sure, I wanted to get this information out there just in case someone already tried to buy them, saw that one of them was rare, and then went and paid an extreme price online, thinking that it's 1 of 72 when it's not. So I wanted to make sure everyone knows that if you are buying online, do not pay more for one figure versus the other. There are plenty of people out there selling them all for the same price, so be very careful. Don't pay more than you should because they are all common. So that's very important. That's what I wanted to get out there just so no one makes that mistake. Now, we'll move on to the box layout, and I'll have timestamps in there if someone just wants to know specific things in the description. So here's the box layout. This is for the Gamestop version of the box. So we'll go through this. And it's pretty simple here. We got the top, we got the bottom, front, and the back. So this is the front if the case of 12 is facing you. That's how it looks. And this is how I know that this was all common because like I said, Norbert and Daggett were labeled as 1 of 72. Ren and Stimpy and the Rugrats are labeled as 1 of 6. And these two are labeled 1 of 36, and some are labeled 1 of 24. So there's no way I would have gotten all these in the box if they were actually of those statistics. And there would have been 2 of each of the 1 of 6 in there, so there would have been a lot of duplicates. So that's how we know that it's all common. Now keep in mind, this is only for GameStop, and I've only seen the original base set as that. I would assume Toys R Us and Hot Topic will be the same, but I won't know 100% until I grab those boxes. Now, I'm not going to grab the base set, so I don't have the layout for that, but hopefully we can figure it out based on the information I have. I will, however, buy a full case of the Hot Topic exclusive ones, and I'll probably post something about that online to confirm where the layout is for that. Now, usually, they just swap out the exclusives. So wherever the exclusives are, right here, a lot of times they'll just swap them out cleanly. Not always, so we won't know that for sure until I get the Hot Topic ones. And the reason I'm not getting the whole base set one is because it would just be a waste of money. I'll get the Hot Topic box because I get a discount there, and I want the 3 exclusives anyway, and the duplicates I have I can just give away or sell or something like that since I get such a good discount. So here's the layout here, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate. I bought the box from GameStop today. It was already out on the sales floor, but it doesn't look like anyone touched it. That doesn't mean no one did, so I can't confirm this 100%. Just wanted to let you know that I'm like 90% sure this is it, but just in case, don't go off of this and get mad if it's not exactly like this. I just am pretty sure no one touched it, and this is what it is. And the 3 exclusives are on the top row, as they always are, because it's easy for Funko to just put special ones on the top versus putting them on the bottom and doing a whole cycle through. It's just easy mechanically, and in the factories, it's just easier for them to put them right on the top. So these are the 3 spots here. Powder Toast Man, Stump, and Filbert were the exclusives to GameStop, and this is where they are located. So I'm pretty sure that's where they're going to be, but it's safe to say that they definitely will be on the top. So now, that being said, I think it's also safe to say that they'll be on the top for the other stores as well, for Toys R Us and Hot Topic. Now, will they be in these exact same spots? That part I'm not totally sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't either. I doubt they'll put them on the bottom, though, so that's the good news. If anyone happens to find them in a Toys R Us store or wants to go to Hot Topic, then I think they'll be in these spots or very close to them. Again, I'll know in a couple of days when I get mine from Hot Topic, and I'll be able to confirm that. But if anyone knows, like if anyone visits Toys R Us, or if anyone's gotten a full case from a regular store, please let us know in the comments so we can have all the information in one spot. That'd be very helpful if anyone's bought a regular case or knows someone who has, that can confirm or deny that information. Because once we know that, we'll be able to deduce where they'll be in the following 2 stores we haven't seen them from. So everything up based on that is pretty normal. I think the bottoms will be the same for everyone. Again, here's another big look at it. So if anyone wants a specific figure, that's where they are. Sorry for my messy handwriting. So if you can't read anything or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And again, like I said, if anyone has any information on the base series, let us know in the comments, and I'll try to update it in social media. If I get a lot of information, I'll try to do an updated video to help people out. But if not, if you're not following me on social media, please do on any platform, and I'll update you with the Hot Topic results there as well. Now, going on to the review portion of this series. So like I said, I really like this series. I was pretty impressed by it. I think Funko did a really good job. Now, like I said, I like the Hanna-Barbera ones as well for the fact that they're all differently shaped. They have all different sculpt. They're not like a lot of the other ones where they just look very similar. Even like you can see these X-Men ones above me, a lot of them look very similar in shape. There wasn't much to them. But these ones, they all have a completely different sculpt. No two figures are even closely related except for maybe the Angry Beavers, but even those are pretty differently shaped. Now here's things I like about it. I like that it wasn't a scale, like a copy mock-up of it, because you see a lot of companies do that, where all they do is they make an exact replica of the figure and just make it smaller, which is okay, there's nothing wrong with that, and often I like that, but I like that Funko actually put some design element into it. They changed the proportions on it, and they designed things themselves to the point where these versions of the figures they have here, you'll not find anywhere else. They're obviously very different. You'll look straight at them and know these were Funko Mystery Minis, versus looking at an exact scale model of it and not being sure where it came from because they all look the same. Now, a lot of companies do this where they try to put their own spin on certain characters. Funko especially, with the Funko Pop characters. They have the basic design of it and they just do minor changes to it, which can be good. I get why companies do that because they're trying to put their own label on things. They're trying to distinguish themselves from other companies, so I get it, but I often don't like it. And people don't like pop figures for that exact same reason. They just look too generic. They all look the same. Kid Robot's been doing that a lot too, and they actually did a Nickelodeon series very similar to this, and they were awful. I'm going to pull up a picture here right on my desktop, but my god, were these just the worst fucking things I've ever seen in my life. They were just absolutely horrible. They were wretched. And Kid Robot does this a lot. They have their very basic design where they do the big head, the small body, and they have those like kind of Lego-shaped hands. So I get it. I get they do that with all their series, but they really don't have to. They should put a little more design element into it. And they try to do it with these characters, but when characters aren't like that anthropomorphic shape, and what I mean by that, having like 2 arms, 2 legs, and a distinguished head, when they're not that shape, you can't really put them in this design. And you'll see by the picture I'm showing that so many of these characters just look so awful because they don't have distinguished heads, and they try to do the big head design and they look so bad. Like, for example, the Angry Beavers on this one, they just look stupid. Or like Crumb here. He's supposed to be one big shape, and they tried to give him a bigger head, but he's one giant head. And Cat Dog, good God, look at this thing. It looks like an artist's interpretation of the character. It looks like an abstract painting of that character. They were just so god-awful, and it was this series specifically that made me stop collecting Kid Robot, because they just refuse to break the mold, and it just gets too generic after a while. And they did the same thing with their Cartoon Network series. So many of them just looked awful. It was a bad idea. Funko is usually a culprit of this. They usually do this with their Mystery Minis and Pop figures, so that's why I was excited for these series, because they didn't do that. They didn't do this generic design. They actually made them all different shapes and designed them for that individual character, and that's what I like. The Hanna-Barbera ones are similar in the sense that they're all different sculpts. They're not all the same shape, but they're like the first example I gave, where they take the character and just do a scale model of it. All the Hanna-Barbera ones are the exact likeness of those characters, just in a smaller form and slightly different proportions. Like, which I said, that's cool. I still like that series, but I like this one much more because they have a different design. They really went through the trouble of designing each character specifically for that. Ones I liked in particular was Cat Dog. I really like Cat Dog, and I really like the Angry Beavers because they don't look exactly like they do in the cartoon. It's very obvious who they are, so they did a good representation of it, but they actually designed it and made it so it has its own special look for this series. So I really appreciate that, and I really think they did a good job for it, which is a lot to say for Funko because they almost always take the lazy way of doing things. So I was very impressed by it. And some of the characters that I don't even like the Wild Thornberrys characters, like I could give a shit less about that show. Same about Cat Dog. I never really liked that show either, but I really like this figure. And all the other series I liked a lot. Angry Beavers was my favorite. But yeah, they picked really good choices. They didn't put SpongeBob in here, which I thought was a little weird. That seems like the only 90s Nicktoon that they left out. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling that they had plans for exclusives with another place like Walgreens or something, and they probably wanted to do 3 characters for that, but they probably opted out at the last minute. Something like that, because I can't imagine another reason why they would keep them out of that specifically. So we'll talk about the review portion of this. So the first score I give them is design and creativity. And like I said, I think they did a fantastic job. And most people will look at this and think the design of them is not that great, but I really take notice in the fine details of what they do and the actual effort they took to make a design different from the character was in the cartoon. So for that, I'm giving them a 9 out of 10. I think they really did a fantastic job on them, and I've held these figures in my hand, like I said, they came today, and they really do look awesome. So they did a great job on that. And then the score number 2 is the sculpt, and I think they did a great job on that as well. I'm giving that an 8 out of 10 for that one. Not much to say about it. They really looked like they pulled out the extra stops here, which again is surprising because Funko is kind of a failing company at this point, and they just never have before. The last score is the paint job. This one I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because, again, I was actually very impressed by the paint job. Most of the time, not just Funko, but most companies, you'll notice they very often will do colored plastic or vinyl versus painting the figure. And I always like painted better. Even though it's the same color, you can tell when you hold it when it's painted over or it's just the color of that plastic. And for a lot of these figures, they actually went through the trouble to paint the vinyl figure or paint over the plastic to give it that nice look, to give it that nice matte finish and not the shiny plastic look, which I appreciated. There were some odd choices, like for example, Chucky, his skin was painted the skin color and it looks nice. But Tommy, on the other hand, he was just the colored plastic, which I'm not really sure why they did that. It seems like a weird choice to not do both, but I appreciate every time they did paint it. Now, there were minor imperfections here and there, but as far as Funko's concerned, not as much as normal. So, like, they were notorious for this X-Men series up here, and the paint jobs were just god-awful. And they usually are. Funko's usually really cheap about that stuff, and just do horrible, like, paint blasts all over the place. Even the Hanna-Barbera ones, I really like that series, but you'll notice right away, if you look at any figure, the paint jobs are pretty rough. They don't really stay in the lines, the paint kind of blurs out of certain spots. The paint jobs are very simple anyway, but even the little paint they did, it was pretty rough. But these actually did a pretty decent job. Far from perfect, there's always room for improvement, but considering the quantities they produced these figures, it's pretty impressive that they did such a good paint job considering how many of these they're pushing out to these different stores. So I was really impressed by it, and I can only pick out a few minor imperfections here and there, but for the most part, they did the extra paint jobs on the figures, didn't just do the plastic thing or the raw vinyl, and they stayed in all the lines pretty well, and they did very vibrant colors. So giving them a 7 out of 10 on the paint job. That gives an overall score of 8 out of 10, and I think that's really deserved. I haven't been a fan of things that Funko has been doing for quite a while now, Mystery Minis and Pops in general, but recently these few series that they've had out have been pretty impressive, and I really like them. So I hope Funko takes note of these. I hope they're realizing that people like these things are selling more, and if they put in that little bit of extra effort, they're going to make people happy and people will buy them more. And I hope they steer away from the more generic stuff, these Disney-looking, pop-looking things that everyone looks the same, and do more series like this. Now, unfortunately, one series I'm looking forward to is their Deadpool series, which I really am looking forward to that, but again, they've done the design there where they all look very similar. They're all, obviously it's the same character, but I mean, it's just very simplistic with the big head and simple body. They could have put a lot more design element into it. And it doesn't look like the paint jobs are going to be super great on those two. It looks like it's going to be a lot of the raw vinyl colors. But we'll see for sure. We'll see when that series comes out in May, I think. So we'll see next month, and I'll be sure to review those as well. So that's all the information you need. Let me know what you think of this series, and again, if you have any information that you can contribute to this to help other people out, please do so in the comments, and I'll try and add that into the description, because there are things that we don't know for sure yet, and I'll let you know over social media, and I'll try to add it to the description here too when I get the Hot Topic ones, the layout of that, if it's the same, and then we can try and guess where the Toys R Us ones are going to be. But again, people told me in that other video that some of the exclusives are going to the Funko shop online, so if anyone sees these at that shop, please let me know there too, because I would love to check them out. Other than that, everyone's going to have to pay a shitload online if they show up at all. I haven't seen them online at all, and I'm not sure if Toys R Us ever plans to put them on the shelves because they may be out of business before they ever get the chance to. which will be very unfortunate, and I don't want to have to pay an ass load for those 3 figures. So any information you have, please let us know in the comments. Anything you want to share, any thoughts, opinions, let us know in the comments too. Other than that, thank you all for watching. If there's anything I missed, please let me know. I hope this is helpful to you. I hope this helps you in your collecting. Thank you for watching. Love you all. Peace.